Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Art with Miss Myra. I hope that you're all having a great day today. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, and the project that we're going to do today is we're going to make a macrame Hex-nut bracelet. Okay, and so this is the style of bracelet that we are going to make today. Of course, I've used beads here, and you can also use beads. You don't have to use hex nuts, but hex nuts are just kind of it's a cool thing and stuff. You know, they're silver, so they go with everything and stuff. So that's why I said if you want to use hex nuts, we can and stuff. I'm going to show you an example of both. So the supplies that we need for today's project are we're going to need suede cording or paracord, or if you have hemp cording, like I do, I've got hemp cording. That's what I'm going to be using today. But you can also use yarn with this if that's what you have and stuff. You know, don't worry about that and stuff. You can just utilize whatever kind of cording you have. Okay, and then you're going to need small hex nuts. Approximately 10 of them, or if you have if you have pony beads at home, you can use pony beads also. That's what I used to make this bracelet here. And then you're going to need glue and you're going to need scissors. Okay, so this is a really quick project that comes together very easily. You guys are going to be shocked when you see how easy this is. And so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure out our cording, and you actually want a lot of cording for this, okay? And you're going to be cutting 4 strands of cording, okay? And so what I'm going to do, Myra's method of measuring, we've talked about this in class before. I don't measure anything except by this. I put the end of whatever I'm measuring, and then I extend out my arm fully, and that's about 3 feet, and I want to go just a little bit extra from that. So I want to have maybe about 4 feet of this cording. And it seems like a lot just to make a little bracelet, but we're doing a lot of knotting here, so it shrinks down really quick. It uses all of that. So, and we always want to have more rather than have less. We want to have longer, because we can always cut off, but we can't add on at the end. So okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm cutting my 4 strands of approximately 4 feet of cording, and I'm gonna just get my strands together here, and then I'm gonna set my cording aside, set my scissor aside, and then all I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm gonna measure out about 4 inches, or about the width between my thumb and my index finger, and I'm gonna come down here and I'm just going to make a knot. Okay, so you guys all know how to make knots. I'm assuming you all know how to make knots because you all know how to tie your shoes, right? Hopefully. It's a little bit wiggly here, jiggly, whoops, and then I missed one. So you want to tie a knot about like this, okay? That's what we want to do. That's the kind of knot that we want to have on here. And I just want to make sure and get this really tight, because at the end, this is what is going to become the closure of our bracelet, okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my phone down so you guys can see here what I'm doing. You're going to see my workspace, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this okay. And I'm going to just lay my knotted, strands here on my work surface. And then I'm gonna just tear a piece of tape, and I'm doing this to make this easier for myself, okay? Because I don't want this to wiggle around. I don't want it to move around on me. And so I'm just gonna, just tape this knot down. And then after I get it taped, I wanna go down and those short tails that I have in here and stuff, you know, from tying my knot, I'm gonna trim them off. I wanna make careful, you know, not to cut off my long strands. I just cut off the tails to that knot. I don't need that anymore. And what I'm gonna do later is I can go in and I can glue that, put a little bit of glue on there, so just make sure and keep it secure. But I'm not gonna worry about that for right now, okay? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to separate my strands into 2 separate strands that are gonna go out from the outside, and then I'm gonna have 2 strands on the inside, okay? And that's what I want for this. I'm gonna keep my 2 strands stationary on the inside, and then my 2 working strands are gonna be on either side. So I'm gonna tape this down. So this always stays steady. This does not move. It's just these 2 strands that are gonna move, okay? So how we do this is we're going to tie square knots, and there are 2 steps to tying a square knot, okay? There's, you know, and I'll show you guys. What we're going to start out first is I'm going to grab, and I realize this looks funny on the camera, but I hope that you guys can tell what I'm doing. I've grabbed the left hand strand, and I'm going to I'm just gonna bring it over, and I'm gonna lay it. I'm gonna make kind of like a loop here, okay? And now I'm going to just hold my index finger. I'm gonna hold this, kind of hold it like this. And then I'm going to take this other strand, the strand from my right hand side, and I'm gonna go over the top. And then with the end of that side, I'm going to very carefully lift up the bottom part of my stationary strand and go into this loop from top to bottom. And then I'm going to just pull up, okay? I'll show you guys this again. So, and now we're gonna rotate sides. We start with one side, we go to the next side. See, this is the first part of the square knot. Now I'm gonna do the second part of the square knot. So I'm gonna make my loop with this side, and I'm gonna bring the other side over the top, and then up through the bottom and through that loop, and I'm going to pull it tight. And I'll show you this show this to you again, okay? So I'm going to make a loop. Here's my stationary. Here's my little loop. I'm going to take this one, put it on top. It goes on top of, you know, where this one goes over, and then I'm gonna go down here to where the first strand goes over and makes a loop, and on my stationary. And then I'm going to go through here, go through the bottom to the top, go through the loop, and pull it tight. And this sounds hard, guys, but once you start sitting down and do it yourselves, you'll just figure it out real quick, okay? So go ahead, make your loop, bring this one over the top, then we're gonna come up through the bottom to the top, through that loop, and we're going to tighten it. So make our loop, go over the top with the other strand, go bottom through the top, through the loop, tighten it. That's our first, oh, and I got a little bump in that one. That's all right. I'll fix it. And that came from my bottom, kind of got loosened a little bit. So I want to make sure that this is always tight, okay? We want to have that tight. So loop, then we take the other strand, go over the top, then pick it up, go bottom to the top, pull through. Now I've made my complete square knot, because there's 2 parts to it. Loop, then I take this strand, go over the top, then go up through from the bottom to the top, pull my loop tight, And you're just going to continue doing this for a couple inches. And like I said, this comes together very, very quickly, guys. This is not complicated. Once you guys sit down and you actually start doing this on your own, it's very easy to figure out, okay? Make my loop. Take my other strand over the top and then up through the bottom and through my loop and pull. So I hope everyone's getting outside today and enjoying the nice warm weather. It's a little bit overcast here. Actually looks like it's going to rain a little bit later, but that's okay because we need rain. It's actually kind of dry here in North Dakota, so some rain would be good. I have to apologize if you guys can hear Daisy in the background and stuff because my dog Daisy is inside right now because I didn't want her outside if it rained. So she is kind of making a little bit of noise in the background. Okay, and now I'm just going to keep doing this, like I said, for a couple of inches. And how I want to measure this, guys, is you're going to take your wrist and you're going to lay your wrist flat on your braided part, on your knotted part, okay? And then you can see how much length you have done. And so now on this one, I can tell that I've kind of gone along the back part of my wrist, you know, so I need to go up a little bit more. I need to do a little bit more here so I can go and I can start laying my first hex nut or my first bead. Like I said, it's a lot easier if you can keep these middle ones tight. I realize you're going to be kind of lifting them up every once in a while to, you know, go underneath, but I just keep readjusting mine and I want to keep it, you know, fairly tight so I don't have any issues with bubbling. Did any of you guys make these kinds of bracelets when you were in camp, in summer camp? I remember making these bracelets when we were at Bible camp. I used to go to a really small little Bible camp up in the Killdeer Mountains in by Killdeer, North Dakota. And I actually remember making these kinds of bracelets when we were up there at camp. So this is kind of a camp time memory for me, being able to do these bracelets with you guys today. Of course, we didn't use hex nuts, we used beads, but you know, that's the premise is the same and stuff, the technique is the same, so it was a lot of fun. Okay, now I can kind of tell it's about time and stuff. I want to start laying my first bead in, or my hex nut. So I'm going to use hex nuts with this one since I used beads for this bracelet. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of my hex nuts and then I'm going to take my tape off of my two middle strands, and I'm going to thread this hex nut on my, you know, up the middle, and then I'm going to tape this down again, and then I'm going to make one square knot, one total square knot. So I'm going to do, you know, from this is the first half of it. Now this is the second half, you know, because our square knot when we're doing macrame is 2 parts. So 1, 2, that's my second part, okay? Now I'm going to want to add another hex knot or hex nut. And all I did there, guys, is I just trimmed the ends because my ends were kind of uneven, and so I wanted my ends to be a little bit more even. If you guys don't want to continue taking the tape off, what you can do is you can just, I know I want probably about 7 of these hex nuts. I said, you know, up to 10 depending on your wrist size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to loop thread the rest of my hex nuts on the bottom here so that I have them, but I'm not going to push them up until I'm ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that's 7. And that way I don't have to keep taking my tape off and on. I can just leave it. Okay, so I've got this one pushed up and into place. So I'm going to just go ahead and do 1 complete square knot. So there's the first part of it. Here's the second part of it. Now I'm ready for my next hex nut. Make my loop, go on the top with my other strand, then come from the bottom to the top. Push the next one up. I'm going to make my loop, go from the bottom to the top after I put my other strand on top. So I hinted around to this a little bit yesterday, and I told you that at the end of May, I would like to have an art show, and I'd like to showcase some of the pictures that you guys, from projects that you guys have done with me. So if you have any pictures of projects that you have completed along with the lessons from Art with Miss Myra, I would like you to send them to me, and I'm going to include them in a little display that we're going to be doing and stuff, and it'll air, you know, on the Facebook page and on the YouTube page. And I thought that that would just be a nice way of finishing out the school year this year, and then I can see exactly what you guys have done and what you've been interested in. And so I will know how to plan things for next year, because I'm going to continue along with these lessons and doing them and stuff for next year. So, okay, so now what I've done here, guys, is I have added in all my hex nuts. Okay, and like I said, you can use beads if that's what you have. You can use beads. That's not a big deal. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly go ahead and I'm going to finish out my bracelet, and then I'm going to show you how to do the closure at the end, and then you'll know how to finish this out and you can start wearing it. So like I said, these come together very quickly. Once you know how to do the little square knot for macrame, you know, the square knot for tying ropes and stuff is a little bit different, but after you know how to do the square knot for macrame, it's very, very simple to do And you can finish out, oh gosh, you could do a whole bunch of these in an afternoon if you wanted to. So do you see why I said 4 feet? I am almost running out of cording. So if you have a little bit bigger wrist, you can even use more. You know, if you're making it, let's say you're making it for, you know, your dad, one for your dad, or any man in your life and stuff, you're going to want to use more than 4 feet. Just so you can get all the way around. Make it so it's all the way around. Oops. Oh yeah, and that's going to be plenty long for me and stuff. I might actually have to give this one as a gift because this one got kind of long. Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're going to take off our tape, and then, you know, we've got this loop that we made at the beginning part, and we've got these ends down here. And all we're going to do down here is we're going to take, I want a little bit bigger hex nut or a little bit bigger bead, or you can use 2 beads. And I'm going to actually, I don't want to cut that off quite yet. Don't cut off that end quite yet. So you're going to hold all of these pieces together and thread that bigger hex nut or those couple of beads on the bottom of your bracelet that you just took off, you know, and you're just going to thread it on like this, okay? And so now what you're going to do is you're going to just tie a simple knot. You want to make it kind of bigger. So remember, it's going to go through the top of this loop that we just made. Oh wow. Okay, there we go. That did something goofy. And now I'm going to trim my ends. And now I have my enclosure. And that one is big for me, but you guys get the idea and stuff. You can just do that, and then, you know, where you can kind of tuck in your extra ends if you get a little bit big. But there is our Hex-nut bracelet that we made using macrame square knots, okay? And here is the one that I made earlier and stuff that has just the little beads And I hope that you guys really enjoy doing this, because like I said, it's very simple, very easy to do once you learn how to do the square knot for macrame. You can make a lot of these and stuff, you know, you can make them and give them as gifts or whatever. So tomorrow on tomorrow's episode of Art with Miss Myra, we are going to have our Fun with Fiber Friday, and we're going to be doing straw weaving, okay? And so the supplies that you're going to need for this is you're going to need 3 drinking straws, just regular drinking straws. Doesn't matter if they're the bendy straws or whatever and stuff, you know, whatever you guys have on hand. 3 drinking straws, you know, so ask your moms, ask your grandmas and stuff if they have some straws on hand, and hopefully they do. And you're gonna need yarn, scissors, and a yarn needle if you have one, but if you don't, that's okay. We can work around that, okay? So I hope that you guys all have a great rest of the night. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you back here tomorrow for the next episode of Art with Miss Myra at 11 a.m. Mountain Time here on Facebook. And if you're watching me on YouTube, I am Art with Miss Myra. That's the name of my channel on YouTube. And just a reminder, if you're watching me on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button down below, and hit the bell notification so you can be notified of all of the new video uploads. Until I see you again, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.